Hello and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you after a 5-3 Rangers victory, and it's about time. My goodness, that was a painful 5-game losing streak to endure. Kind of glad that I was out of town for a little bit of it. Took a couple of days off of our usual podcast coming at you immediately after all Rangers games, but it's good to be back, and it's a good day, and it's a Rangers win. And who knows what's going on in the rest of the AL West? I do think we may have had some fortuitous results in terms of other teams losing in our division. But let's just focus on the fact that the Rangers have won after losing 5 games in a row. It's good to be with you tonight. And of course, here at Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports. We put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers and especially the Rangers during baseball season. Thank you for joining in. A lot of different Texas Rangers options out there. Thank you for sticking with us, whether you're watching live or on the replay and supporting the channel, supporting the account. We appreciate you. Well, let's get into this one. Let's talk a little Rangers baseball, shall we? So, this game, by the way, started out with the Rangers. It's kind of crazy considering the final score, but it started out with the Rangers getting no hit for, I believe, the first 5 innings of play. So, pretty typical of what the Rangers offense has done lately, right? The Rangers get no hit through their first 5 innings. And of course, on the other side, you got Andrew Heaney absolutely dealing. Up to that point, going into the 5th inning, Heaney had given up 1 run and he had struck out like 6 or 7 up to that point. We're going to talk about Andrew Heaney and highlight his performance in a little bit because it was magnificent. But Andrew Heaney, up to that point, was matching Sean Manaea beautifully. Manaea kind of had a rough first inning. He actually kind of got squeezed in a couple of those pitches. I think the Rangers got some fortuitous calls in that first inning. Wyatt Langford ultimately hit by a pitch. That's what enables the Rangers to draw first blood to take the 1-0 lead. From there, though, we had pretty much nothing going on until the 7th inning, the bottom of the 6th inning, excuse me. So no hits through 5 innings. Then the Rangers erupt in the 6th and the 7th, ultimately to take a 5-3 win. Of course, in the top of the 6th inning, that was the inning where the Mets finally got to Andrew Heaney. Pete Alonso, a guy that a lot of people have been talking about potentially being a trade chip, he has come up huge in this series. And I'll tell you what, if the Mets are willing to trade Pete Alonso, could we please be in that queue? Could we please be in line? I don't know if anybody needed to see anything else. I know Pete Alonso's numbers are not incredible on the season, but he's hitting 243 right now, 243 average, has raised it up in this win streak that the Mets were on before their loss tonight. Last 7 games, he's hitting 310 with 2 bombs and 10 RBIs. So Pete Alonso, if the Rangers were interested, I'm sure they should be even more interested after what he managed to do to the Rangers in this 3-game set. I am all on board the Pete Alonso train if the Rangers are looking to acquire a right-handed bat. And I know there's been a lot of talk about who could the Rangers be interested in, who are they going to get to add depth. Look, the bottom line is they got to be treading water between now and the trade deadline to even be in that discussion. But Pete Alonso is the number one bat I'd like to see the Rangers get at this point. He absolutely raked in this series against us. Like I said, 10 RBI in his past 7 games, hitting over 300 in those last 7 games. First baseman, I think we all love Nate Lowe, but considering what we've gotten out of him so far, we need a slugging first baseman. And he just so happens to be a right-handed hitter that can hit well, obviously, off of lefties. Andrew Heaney being a lefty tonight, look at what Pete Alonso does. So for me, Pete Alonso becomes the number one guy I'd like to see the Rangers go and get if the Mets are not able to be competitive for a playoff spot. And I think that that's still yet to be determined. The Mets could maybe potentially get into an NL wild card spot. I'd have to go ahead and look at the standings. But it's hard to say if the Mets, even with that nice little 7-game win streak they were on before tonight, going to be hard to say if the Mets are going to be able to get a playoff spot in the NL. Right now, the Mets are, looks like, just 1 game back of a playoff spot. So very, very much in the running. A lot of people wrote the Mets off early, myself included. We'll see what ends up happening. But Pete Alonso, he ends up hitting that 2-run homer to put the Mets up 3-1 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. And that is when the fun started for the Rangers. Josh Smith, we talked about him so much on our lives afterwards, and his absence was so much felt over the weekend, was it not? So to have him back for this game today and to drive in Robbie Grossman from first, Grossman singled, and then Josh Smith, kind of a patented line drive down the right field line. I feel like every extra base hit for him looks exactly like what it did tonight. So Josh Smith coming through, he has just been such a huge part of this Rangers team. And it was just so good to see him back in the lineup tonight. I think he easily could be an all-star. And if Josh Smith was more well-known around the league, I think he easily could be. I don't know if he's going to make it. I would love to see it. He's easily been the Rangers, I think, most valuable player as a whole for this entire season. I don't think anybody's putting him above Corey Seager in terms of talent. I don't think we're talking about that. We're talking about up to this point, who's been the most valuable Ranger. If you're not talking about pitching, because the pitching has been outstanding by and large, I think you got to point to Josh Smith. So Josh Smith comes through, gives the Rangers life, a 3-2 deficit. And then from that point on, Wyatt Langford, did you guys see that at bat? That maybe not. Maybe you just saw the replay. Wyatt Langford kind of had a nice little exchange with Alvarez, the Mets catcher, on a pitch that probably was strike 3. But nevertheless, Wyatt was kind of going back and forth with him a little bit. It wasn't all G-rated content in terms of the conversation, but Wyatt Langford very adamant with the New York Mets catcher that it was a ball. It probably was a strike if we're being real and just being honest with you. But we love seeing the fiery nature of Wyatt Langford in that at bat. And then he went ahead and backed it up with a game-tying RBI single to drive in Josh Smith and to tie the game. Pretty much, I would say that's probably an old prisoner of the moment here, maybe, but that might be a top 10, top 15 moment for me of this Rangers season. Just watching Wyatt go back and forth with Francisco Alvarez and then back it up with a game-tying RBI single. It was a fun at bat. If you didn't get a chance to see it, go back and watch that bottom of the 6th inning Wyatt Langford at bat. It was a lot of fun. Let's pause right there. Let's see if I can get some comments checked real quick. Yep, Langford is something else, no doubt. Maybe the offense turning around. We'll see. I think that Langford is absolutely going to be continuing to be a big part of this lineup. Where he plays, I don't know. I think that Evan Carter is probably going to get a lot of the opportunities in center field. We're going to talk about Leody tonight. Huge hit from him. We're getting to that moment here. And I really feel like, the offense is going to be, a little of it is going to be who's hot, who's not. I think that they're going to start doing some plug and play with some of these guys. I don't know, even with the big hit today, we're going to talk about Leody. The big hit today is amazing. Leody coming in, pinch hitting a 2-run game-winning home run. Phenomenal to see from Leody Taveras. A guy in his last 15 games, Leody, I think still, even with the home run, is hitting .085. It's not pretty, y'all. Leody is not in a great way right now, but we will absolutely celebrate and cherish that game-winning home run that he hit. My goodness. That was a lot of fun. It was unexpected. My jaw dropped a little bit. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the last thing I expected in that moment was for Leody Taveras to hit a go-ahead game-winning home run, 5-3 Rangers, and that's how the game ended up. Leody Taveras is absolutely a guy that has a ton of potential and could very well be an everyday player for a number of different teams. My thing with Leody has always been he's too inconsistent. And look, you see a lot of Leody apologists out in full force tonight. Anybody that's ever trashed Leody over the course of the past month where he's been hitting 100, I kid you not, every Leody apologist came out of the woodwork tonight to rub it in people's faces that have been doubting Leody Taveras. Now, look, I'm not a Leody hater, but I am a Leody realist. Leody Taveras, over his last 15 games, let me read you the stat line. Last 15 games, Leody is hitting 4 for 47, including the home run tonight, with an 085 batting average. So here's my take on Leody. Celebrate tonight. It's a big moment for Leody. If you're a true Rangers fan, you're happy for any player on the club, unless they're just a complete jerk, and I don't think we got any of those on the team. I'm happy for any Rangers player that does well. So I celebrate the moment tonight. Am I ready to sit here and say Leody's back? He's ready to go. He's going to be our everyday guy and just rake the rest of the season? No, absolutely not. Leody is hitting 4 for his last 47. If this home run ends up being a kickstart, a jump start for him, awesome. Love it. But I'm not sitting here counting on that. Leody, there's a big sample size. And what Leody is a streaky hitter. He's not somebody that can be consistent over 162 games. He'll hit 300 for 2 or 3 weeks, and then he'll hit 100 for the next 2 or 3. That is what Leody has been for us the past, I would say, 3 or 4 seasons we've had him. So at this point, I love what I saw. I'm going to celebrate the Leody home run. I'm happy for him. I hope it's the start of something good. I'm not going to at all, if I'm a Leody apologist, meaning if I'm somebody that just defends Leody Taveras no matter what, I'm not coming out of the woodwork today in the midst of a 4 for 47, regardless of the home run. Celebrate it, file it away for later. But at this point, I'm saying hesitantly, great home run, great moment. Don't know if it's going to stick. Hope it does. Hope to be proven wrong. Leody Taveras, huge moment today. Let's celebrate it. Let me get to some comments here. We've got, thanks for, by the way, thank you for all the comments. Really appreciate it. I got a few to scroll back through here. Thank you for supporting the channel, for supporting the account. Appreciate you guys. Will the Yankees make the playoffs? This has to be sarcasm. Of course, the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. Langford is great. Indeed, he is. We all knew the potential was there. I will say, I got to admit, hand up, I said Langford might need to go to AAA to get his head right. I was wrong. I said that he might need to go to the minor leagues, get a couple of weeks down there. He proved me wrong. I always have thought the potential is there. I've been very high on Wyatt Langford. And when I suggested sending him back down, never did I think it was going to be a permanent thing. I wanted a couple of weeks, get your mind right. I'm glad to see he didn't need that. And he's starting to come around a little bit. That out of the park home run was phenomenal to see. Great moment for Wyatt Langford. I loved it. I hope that unlocks him. I have said all season long, and those of y'all that have been watching here at Right On Rangers after every game for this entire season, you know that I have said that first out of the park home run could unlock something for him. I hope that I end up being right, because if I am, it means the Rangers offense is going to pick up and be a lot better than what it's been so far in the first half of this season. How many games have I been to so far? 0. But I will say this, we always usually make it to at least one Rangers game a year in the regular season. We're out in Vegas, so we usually go to one of the Arizona games or the LA games or San Diego, one of those. Last game we went to was World Series Game 1. We all know how good of a game that was. It's going to be hard, y'all. I have been to probably the best baseball game I'll ever be at. World Series Game 1, 2023 World Series. The epic Seager of game-tying home run, the Adolis Garcia walk-off home run in the 11th. Haven't been to a game yet this year. Going to try. I think they come to Arizona in September, maybe. So maybe I'll try and make it to one of those. Probably won't make it out to a home game this year, but that's okay. You know what? Like I said, I had the best Rangers experience of my life last October. Going to cherish that one for a long, long time. Let me see here. Record is 6-1 or 1-6. I've had seasons like that. When I used to live in Texas, there were seasons. I think one season I went undefeated. I went to about 6 or 7 games, went undefeated. It was great. I've been to seasons, though. I've been to games or seasons where maybe 1, 2 wins out of 7 or 8. It's painful. But you know what? That's part of being a fan. Rain or shine, win or loss, you got to be there. Let me see what else. Garcia, streaky as well. Yeah, let's see what Garcia did today. Let's see what he did. What was the box score? Nothing memorable really sticking out, and for good reason. Garcia was 0 for 3. Did have a walk today. Be interested to see if he was hitting the ball hard. I might have to dig a little deeper on that after the live is over. But Dolly's in a tough stretch right now, y'all. Last 30 games hitting a $153. It's not going well right now for Adolis Garcia. Like I said with Leody, my hope is that Garcia sooner than later gets unlocked. I'm not cheering for these guys to do poorly, but Garcia, I think it was good the Rangers benched him yesterday. I really feel like it was needed. He absolutely is just not himself this year. Hard to say why. I'm sure there's somebody with more baseball analytical skills than me breaking down his swing and his approach, seeing what's going wrong. That's not really what we do here at Right On Rangers. But you know what? What I will say is this. Dolly, when he's at his best, is patient, has a great eye up at the plate, doesn't miss the cookies that are right down the middle, the pitches that are hung. And, you know, right now it feels like he's not quite at that headspace. He's not quite in that groove where he's only swinging at the pitches that he can drive and where he's truly taking advantage of bad pitches or mistake pitches. When Dolly's at his best, he's doing those two things, being patient and punishing the other team's pitcher for making mistakes. In fact, the entire Rangers offense right now had a ton of foul balls. I feel like it was probably close to 20 foul balls tonight, which tells you that the Rangers are missing the pitches that they want to drive. Right? There's a lot of pitches that I saw tonight on the radar, whatever you want to call it, the strike zone, that are like right down the middle, and we're fouling it off. Nate Lowe had a few just right down the middle, dude. And you're fouling it off. And that's just a sign of an offense that's not completely clicking yet. I feel like so many times this season, you see a hanging breaking pitch right down the middle. You see a fastball, middle in, right down the middle. And it's foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, foul ball. I really feel like the Rangers, when they're at their best, they're punishing those mistake pitches, Dolly especially, and it's not happening right now. And I think that could explain at least maybe one reason why what was the best offense in the major leagues at this time last year, why the best offense at this time last year in the major leagues is now pretty mediocre. I think very middle of the pack, close to like 20th in total offense. It's not the same, even though it's a lot of the same guys. So with that, I really, really feel like the Rangers offense is bound to have better days and a better second half than the first half. I mean, look, you can only play the probabilities. I'm not expecting guys like Jonah Heim and Dolly to be this bad the entire season. And Jonah Heim's another one. Perfect timing on this one. Heim is having some bad at bats. I mean, look, if Heim wasn't a Gold Glove and the only real catching presence that we have right now, he would be probably sitting out some games. Jonah Heim is not in a good place either right now with his bat. He was 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts. Jonah Heim is hitting 155 in his last 30 games. It's painful. Him and Dolly, to me, are the two guys last year overperforming. Heim had 95 RBI last year, was an all-star, started the all-star game, We all know the glove is going to show up every single day. But when you're only getting a 155 batting average from Jonah Heim in his last 30 games, that's not going to work. That's a guy that had 95 RBI for us last year. So I totally agree. The guys for me that have been most disappointing, Dolly, Jonah Heim. I would really like to see those guys pick it up and have better second halves. I do believe it's possible. But I think you look at those two guys as the primary reasons why the offense is struggling at this point. I don't know who else you'd point to. Leody Taveras was never a guy I expected to be highly productive this year. So I throw him out. I did not expect Wyatt Langford to have 100 RBI this year. I did think Evan Carter was going to be better. I do think Evan Carter, if he comes back and continues to struggle, bears some blame. But I think you expected a lot more out of Jonah Heim and Dolly. At least with Jonah Heim, you expected, hey, hit 250, have maybe a 325 OBP, and be a Gold Glove catcher. But at this point, I know Jonah Heim's hitting 230 at the moment, but a $150 in your last 30 games, not good. Just not good. So hopefully Jonah Heim and Dolly can turn it around, have better at bats, and just have a better second half. I mean, that is the only hope at this point. Now, let's keep on going through the rest of the Rangers lineup. Of course, Wyatt Langford, 2 for 3, 2 RBI tonight. And Nate Lowe, 0 for 3, talked about him. 1 walk. Heim 0 for 4. Duran 0 for 3. That's the Rangers box score. Simeon went 0 for. Seager went 0 for, but he did have a walk. So, look, at least we have Siegs getting on base, making things interesting, making the other team have to work a little bit, have some more stressful pitches. Grossman had a nice game. He did have very excellent numbers against Sean Manaea. 5 for 12, I think Grossman was in his career versus Manaea. So kind of makes sense that he had a nice game today. Seager was 3 for 6 versus Manaea in his career with the home run. Didn't quite get to him today. But then I believe Dolly was the other one who had good numbers against Manaea coming into this one. Didn't pan out today, and sometimes that happens. You're really, really good in your career versus a pitcher, but they get the best of you one day. Occasionally it happens. So let's go to the pitching. Andrew Heaney, 9 strikeouts. Heaney has a 4.21 ERA. He had some crazy numbers against the Mets. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is off the top of my head, 145 ERA in like 19 career innings pitched for Andrew Heaney when he's pitched against the Mets. 145 career ERA in almost 20 innings. So, and that was recent for the most part. There were some numbers from back in the early 2010s when Heaney was playing with the Marlins, the team that drafted him. But Heaney, for whatever reason, has the Mets number. Looked like he was going to be a tough luck loser here in this one for a second, but Andrew Heaney able to get bailed out. And I say bailed out, really, you should be able to pitch a quality start and still get a win. Andrew Heaney, quality start tonight. 6 innings pitched. 3 earned runs or less. That's what he had tonight. 3 earned runs. Only gave up 6 base runners in 6 innings and struck out 9. Andrew Heaney was pretty filthy tonight. He had the fastball working very, very well. Had some off-speed pitches that were getting some guys off balance. I love to see it. Andrew Heaney, look, I really love Heandog. I don't know if he's going to stick in the starting rotation. I do think he is going to be a valuable piece out of the bullpen for the Rangers if they are to make it to October, which I still have faith that they will. I do think Andrew Heaney is going to be one of those guys that does get sent to the pen. Look, maybe not. Never know. He might still be that 4th or 5th starter. I think it's going to be, like I said earlier with the lineup, when Evan Carter comes back, I think you're going to get into a situation where it's pretty much like, who's the hot hand? Right. So we need a 5th starter. We need a 6th starter. We need a spot start guy just to give an extra breather to everybody in the rotation. You know, Andrew Heaney is going to be tops on that list with how he's been throwing the baseball this year. And Andrew Heaney, his last 7 starts, let's take a look at the numbers. Last 7 starts for Andrew Heaney. He is 2-4 with a 3.98 ERA. And in his last 3 games has not given up more than 3 earned runs in a start. Andrew Heaney's been very, very solid for the Rangers this year. Yeah, 398, that's not like sparkling ERA or anything like that. But for a fourth or fifth starter, you'll take that 100%. So props to Andrew Heaney tonight. Big reason why the Rangers stayed in this ball game. Now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the rest of the Rangers pitching tonight. Only two guys. Big opportunity for the Rangers here to rest some bullpen guys. Yates did throw tonight, but the Rangers only throw Jose Ureña and Kirby Yates to finish out the game. Heaney goes 6. Ureña pitches 2 shutout innings. I really like Jose Ureña. For me, that might be the guy you consider as your 7th inning stopper. I know Leclerc has filled that role in for a lot of this season. I would like to see Jose Ureña in some high leverage situations. We have had a problem with the 7th inning all season long. In fact, they talked about it on the broadcast tonight. I had never really done a deep dive on just how bad the run differential was. The Rangers have gotten outscored 58-14 in the 7th inning. 58-14. You're talking about a minus 44 run differential in the 7th inning. So what does that tell you? The Rangers aren't hitting in the 7th inning. They did tonight. They won the 7th inning tonight, thank goodness. And they haven't been getting consistent pitching in the 7th inning, whether you're winning or whether you're losing. So for me, 7th inning, that's what's got to be the focus in the second half of the year. Maybe Jose Ureña is a guy that gives you that 7th inning shutdown that you need, that you desperately need after getting your butt kicked 58-14 in the 7th inning in the first half of this season. So Ureña, I think he's pitched very well this year, both as a starter and as a reliever. I might think about Jose Ureña in a 7th inning role in front of Robertson and Yates. Why not? I mean, Leclerc, over his last 7 games, the ERA looks fine, but let's be honest, it doesn't feel like Leclerc has been super clutch this year. I can say that. It's unfortunate. The body of work for Leclerc is okay, but it does feel like in clutch moments, he hasn't come through. Whether it's holding a lead, whether it's preserving a deficit, meaning we're down 2 and you just need it to stay a 4-2 ball game. So we have a shot to go and tie the game in the bottom halves of the late innings. Leclerc, it just feels like hasn't come through. I'm sure that he has in some moments, just doesn't feel like it. So Jose Ureña, would love to see him maybe get into some high leverage situations, whether we're winning or we're losing by a little. I think it could be the key to the Rangers turning things around in the second half, getting the 7th inning right. You can't get outscored 58-14 in the 7th inning and expect to win a lot of ball games in one half of the season. Jose Ureña, loved what we got from him tonight. And then Kirby Yates, no stress, no base runners, strikeout. Yates is down to a 1.03 ERA on the year. Who thought we were getting that out of Kirby Yates? That's really what it's been for so many of these Rangers pitchers that have contributed. You're talking Mike Lorenzen, David Robertson, Kirby Yates. We all knew that those guys had veteran experience, had done some big spot pitching. We know that Yates, Robertson have been all-stars in the past, but I don't think anybody expected this out of them. I don't think anybody expected Kirby Yates to be this good at this point in his career. I thought Kirby Yates was a solid acquisition, a guy that maybe was going to be like a 6th, 7th inning guy for you. I didn't think he would be our bona fide closer. That was not what I had on my mind going into this year. But getting a 1.03 ERA from Yates, and in terms of saves, he's up to number 11 on the season. Ureña gets the win. Just a great night overall for the pitching staff, but also good to see the offense come to life a little bit, especially guys like Leody and Langford being big contributors. Leody and Langford, 4 out of the team's 5 RBI. Of course, the other one going to the team MVP in the first half of this year, Josh Smith. Let's go to some comments. This comment says, what did you think of Wyatt playing center today? I wonder if we'll see him playing more of it. I think that Wyatt Langford is a very adequate outfielder at this point. I don't know if he's a Gold Glover out there. I do know this. He's really, really fast. The speed is there. I think he's got enough speed to play center field. I think that it's going to take some time to get the metrics, the analytics out on his route reading and the paths that he's taken to the ball, all those kinds of things. But look, seeing him out there today, and just knowing the kind of natural speed he has, I think it can work. I do think ultimately, probably the play will be Evan Carter in center field, Wyatt in left, Dolly in right. I think Leody is going to still get some time. And maybe the home run tonight really restores the confidence in him and that the coaches have in him. And we start seeing him kind of slide back into that everyday role. For me, I got to see Leody earn it. I have to see him consistently do this before I make that move. I want Leody to be in a platoon role for a while. I want him to prove it, and I want him to be able to show that he can consistently hit in this league for extended periods of time, not just 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's hard. Right? Major league hitting is hard, but there are guys out there that can do what Leody is doing that we have right now. I think the play has got to be long term. Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, Adolis Garcia, Leody, a lot of potential there. Big home run tonight. Want to see him do well. I would love to see him start getting platooned. I hope to be wrong. I hope that he proves me wrong and he hits 300 the rest of the season. But let me ask you this. If you're being real with yourself, let's throw out the stats. Throw out the stats that Leody has right now. The 150, the 085 in your last 15 games. Let's just throw out the stats on Leody. And let me ask you this question. If you had a bet Leody to hit over 300 the rest of the season, would you take it? If you had to bet Leody to hit over 275 the rest of the season, would you take it? 250? I'm not taking any of those bets, by the way. I'm not betting on Leody if you threw out all of his stats before this, all of the bad ones from the first half, and just said hit 250 the rest of the way. I'm not taking that bet. I'm not taking it. I'm definitely not taking the 275, and I'm absolutely not taking the over 300. Hope he proves me wrong, but be honest. The people that vehemently defend Leody, the Leody apologists, would you take a bet on Leody hitting over 275 the rest of the season? I don't think a lot of people would. I really don't. And I think that's all you need to know at this point, the confidence level. We need a guy that can hit at least over 250. I thought going into this year, Leody could be that. I really am not so sure anymore. And at this point, with Evan Carter out, it makes sense to keep giving Leody at bats. When Evan Carter gets back, it doesn't to me. Give Evan Carter, give Wyatt Langford all of the at bats. You've seen what you can get from Leody. He can still be a guy for you that you platoon in, that gives you some depth. But why are we taking away at bats from Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford to give to Leody? A guy that I don't even know we're going to keep around long term. Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford are long-term guys. They're going to be here for a while. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. What are the Rangers going to do with Leody Taveras the rest of the year? I think that while Evan Carter is out, it allows them to not have to make that tough decision. But when he comes back, it's going to be a tough decision. Josh Smith is going to stay in the lineup. You're not going to take away at bats from Josh Smith, even when Josh Young gets back. When Evan Carter gets back, do you really want Leody playing more than Evan Carter or Wyatt Langford? I don't. Long term, I want both of those guys getting more playing time than Leody. I want Leody off the bench. I want Leody in a platoon spot. I want Leody giving a rest to guys here and there, but I don't want every day. I love the home run tonight. Happy for him. Happy we got the win. I think we need to start pivoting towards the future. And I think that when Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, Dolis Garcia are all fully healthy, that needs to be the outfield for the Texas Rangers moving forward. Now, off day tomorrow, right? But then on Friday, we start a difficult series with the Kansas City Royals. Kansas City Royals coming into this game. Let me see if I can pull it up for y'all right now. Coming into this game, the Kansas City Royals have lost 2 in a row and have actually lost 7 of their last 10 games. It's possible, unlike the Mets, who were hot as ever coming into this series, they were on like that 5-game win streak, pushed it to 7, lost tonight. The Royals are coming into Arlington on a little bit of a losing streak. However, it does look like they are playing tonight right now, and it looks like they are losing 2-1 to the A's at the moment. So we'll see. They may be coming into Arlington with a win over Oakland, but it might be 3 games in a row loss. So we might just be playing the Kansas City Royals at the right time. I feel like we ran into the Mets at the wrong time. Maybe the Royals, having only won 3 of their last 10, maybe we're coming into the Royals at just the right time. I hope. I think that the Royals are a great ball club. They've got a lot of good young talent. It's going to be a difficult series, especially because you don't really feel super confident in the Rangers being consistent. At least I don't. I mean, I'd like to think this win is just going to catapult them into like a 10-game winning streak. But I think most Ranger fans are kind of iffy. Not so sure. And I feel like that right now. Like, I feel like this series could easily be another loss series for the Rangers. I feel like maybe it could be the start of something good for the Rangers tonight going into the Royals series. We all know the Rangers, they like to play up to their competition sometimes. It wouldn't shock me. Now on Friday, Rangers, let's see, have not announced a starter. Neither has Kansas City. Now we can kind of play the game a little bit here. Wouldn't it make sense to see Evo probably on Friday night? I really don't know exactly what they're going to do there, but it just kind of makes sense to see Evo. Feels like it's been about that amount of time. The last time that we saw Evo, I believe, was it like Saturday or Sunday? Feels like it was like Saturday or Sunday that we saw Evo. Yeah, the last time we saw him was Saturday. So it would be his turn. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days rest if he pitches on Friday. So I'd imagine it's going to be Evo to open up that series against KC. I'd be surprised if they didn't start him. Maybe they start somebody else trying to give him like that full week in between starts. You know, a guy that has dealt with some injuries. I don't know. But I'd like to see Evo out there to start that KC series. Y'all know one of my biggest pet peeves with the Rangers so far this year is punting the first game of a series. Feels like every game 1 of every series that we have, somebody's getting an off day or a rest day or a recovery day. Somebody's getting skipped in the rotation and we're doing like a weird spot start thing. Can we just play our best lineup tomorrow? Friday night. It's a Friday night game, a home game. Probably going to be a big crowd out there. Can we just play our best in game 1 of a series on a Friday night at home, please? So I hope that we see Evo Friday night in a fully healthy Rangers lineup. Maybe Josh Young makes his debut. Max Scherzer, by the way, little Max Scherzer news. Saturday is going to be his season debut. Max Scherzer starting on Saturday. So I would imagine Evo Friday. With that, I'm kind of piecing it together on the fly here. And I would think Josh Young makes his debut Friday night. That makes the most sense to me. Now, since we're on the topic, tonight, let's see here. Let me make sure that I'm on the right date. I'm going to check the Round Rock box score, kind of see what's going on. I think Spores got a little roughed up, if I'm not mistaken, in his last outing. I think he got a little bit roughed up. Maybe that was today. Maybe that was yesterday. So Spores is coming back pretty soon here as well. Yeah, he got roughed up today. Spores today in the extra innings win. Round Rock Express won 5-4 today over the River Cats. Spores goes 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned runs. Oof. Yikes. That's ugly. 33.75 ERA for Josh Boers at AAA. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. So, look, hopefully Josh Boers, kind of like spring training stats. My hope is that Josh Boers is like working on a couple of pitches. Like maybe he was only throwing fastball and one off speed pitch just to emphasize those. I don't know. I hope he wasn't like trying to throw his full arsenal and this was the result. Now, that being said, if it was, these kinds of games happen, but not a great box score stat line to see for Josh Boers. Josh Young goes 1 for 5. He had a strikeout tonight as well. Had a couple of hits, I think, in his debut, and it looks like he is hitting 250 in his time. Now, Josh Young, let me see if I can pull up the full stats here in the minors. So I don't know if I'm going to quite be able to. Okay, here we go. Not showing them. Okay, here they are. Sorry, guys. 3 hits, 12 at-bats, and no extra base hits thus far for Josh Young. No walks, 4 strikeouts. So pretty meh stat line for Josh Young so far in his AAA rehab assignment. Maybe one more game tomorrow and then Friday night debut. That's what I would imagine. I mean, how many days do you need down there? I don't know. Maybe they've got, hey, you're getting 20 at-bats down there. I mean, maybe. But you would think Rangers off day tomorrow, maybe we see Josh Young make his debut Friday night or at some point in that Royals series. I just can't imagine him sitting out the full Royals series. And at some point, dude, you got to come up, ready or not. We need you. Come on up. And you can't do any worse than who we've got playing in your spot right now, which at the moment is I think Zeke Duran technically. Although Zeke has done a great job, I think, for the expectations we had for him coming into the year. Let's be real. Josh Young can do what Zeke Duran is doing at this point. So I think the move when Josh Young comes back is Josh Smith DHs, which means that probably Leody gets pushed out, if I had to guess. And we have Evan Carter still on the shelf. Definitely Leody gets pushed out a little bit in that scenario. I think you also possibly consider Josh Smith getting some outfield reps. I mean, maybe they're just going to make Josh Smith primary DH guy, but it wouldn't surprise me. And I think it might be prudent to get Josh Smith some outfield reps. I don't know. Let me scroll back up. I missed some comments here. Eric, what's up, my friend? It says, good evening, Mariners fan here. What do the Rangers have to do to get to October? First of all, get fully healthy. Get fully healthy. The Rangers have missed a lot of starting pitching. Guys who are leaders on the team. They've also missed their all-star third baseman, Josh Young. It hasn't fully clicked. On paper, the Rangers have a very good offense. They've got a couple of guys that are really playing poorly. We talked about Jonah Heim, 95 RBI last year, all-star game starter behind the dish, hitting 150 in his last 15 games. Same thing for Adolis Garcia. Some of the Rangers' big names have got to step up and play better. And then when the Rangers get guys back healthy, Josh Young, third baseman, and then I think some of the starters like Max Scherzer, some of the other guys like Molly, DeGrom, I think those guys are going to help strengthen the bullpen, which we talked about earlier in the show. The bullpen's been a bit of an issue, particularly in the 7th inning. The offense has been bad in the 7th as well, too. But the Rangers have been outscored 58-14 in the 7th inning this year. That's not going to win you a lot of ball games when you're giving up that many runs difference late in games. So just my take there. Now, let me go through a few others here. Here's another one. You can't take Wyatt's bat out just like they can't take Smith's bat out. I wonder once Young gets back where they plan to have Smith play. I think DH. I think DH has got to be the move. Eric, by the way, thanks for the sub. Appreciate you, my friend. By the way, Mariners, whenever they are not playing the Rangers and it's totally inconsequential, I'm always cheering for those teams like the Rangers that have not won a World Series. Rangers were blessed enough to get one last year, kind of out of nowhere. You know what? The Mariners truly are one of those teams in our division. I really don't have a ton of ill will for it all. And if the Rangers aren't in it, I would love to see the Mariners, a team that has not won a World Series yet, get one. So appreciate the sub. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Appreciate the comment. Feel free anytime. We don't talk a ton of Mariners unless the Rangers are going, but we always take a look at what's going on around the league, of course, and we look at how the Mariners are doing at the end of every show, which we're about to do here in a second. So let's get to it. Let's talk through the scoreboard right now for today around the league. We talked about the A's being up on the KC Royals 2-1, top of the seventh. Royals have a runner on. They're playing in Oakland right now. Are the A's still on that crazy losing streak? Is that right? Let me check out the standings right now. They were on a 7-game losing streak for a while. It looks like they finally broke it. I think they beat the Twins in that doubleheader. One of them. They were on like a 7 or 8 game losing streak though. So hopefully the A's can beat up on the Royals. That sure would be nice. Coming into Arlington on Friday night, I'd like to see the Royals on a 3-game losing streak without a lot of confidence, even if it is just the A's. So this is one of the rare times we'll cheer for the A's. And that goes with when they play the Astros and when they play some of the other teams that maybe are not as well liked around the league. But you know what? Go A's tonight over the Royals, 100%. Now, let me check out Mariners. They did lose 8-0 today. So look, Mariners have a huge lead right now in the AL West. I'm not going to sit here with a lot of hope or confidence that the Rangers are going to catch the Mariners unless the Mariners fall into some really tough times like the Rangers have. I can't foresee the Rangers overtaking Seattle in the AL West. When you get up to a double-digit lead, can it be blown? Yes, it can. Do I think it's going to happen? I tend to think no. I do think the Mariners are a good ball club. I would be very, very surprised if the Rangers or the Astros somehow come back and win the AL West. I know there's a lot of time left in the season. There's 90 games left. I do just think though, when you talk about 8, 9, 10 game leads, it's going to be tough for the Astros or the Rangers to take the AL West this year. I think had they kind of played the back and forth game with the Mariners, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, back to 3, back to 2, back to 3, you know what I mean? Maybe, but when you talk about a 9 or a 10 game lead in the division, that just becomes really tough to overcome, especially as you get into the second half of the year. So for me, I'm going to be focusing more on just the playoff spot. Can we get to the playoffs? And I think that is much more of a reasonable goal at this point. Let's not lock in on the AL West. We know last year, last game of the series, last game of the season, was in Seattle. Mariners beat us. Houston took the division. It didn't matter. So really for me, I'm focusing on can the Rangers get into the playoffs? And I think that's going to be able to happen. Now, let me go back here. Oh, my bad on this one. When Young gets back, who gets taken off the roster? Well, I don't know about the 40-man situation. In terms of guys getting sent down, I think Wenzel is probably the obvious choice, right? Now, if you're talking about who's getting released like off the 40-man, I don't know about that. I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine that Wenzel is probably the guy that gets sent down because I think Wenzel's up with the club right now. He was a pinch runner the other day, right? So I think Wenzel's probably going down. I don't know if they have to make a 40-man move. They did DFA Tinoco. So I don't know if they have 39 right now, and then we're going to have 40 a little bit later on in the year when some of these guys come back. But I think Wenzel is probably the guy that goes down when Josh Young returns. And for pitching, when Scherzer comes back, Cole Winn probably. I think Cole Winn's probably going back down when Scherzer comes back. That would be my guess. If the Rangers need to make a move, sometimes you don't, but usually you do. So I would say Wenzel when Young comes back, Cole Winn when Scherzer comes back. Yeah, Jonah Heim definitely has had better seasons. He started off pretty well, but Jonah Heim is definitely a guy that needs to step up for the Rangers for sure. Really, really struggling, and I would really like to see him up his game in the second half, no doubt. And then around the rest of the league, guys, going back, we're kind of a little all over the place. Astros did win 4-1 over the White Sox. they increased their record to 34-40. And I believe that is even with the Rangers. So Rangers are 34-40, Astros are 34-40. So we look at the standings, and the Mariners, even with the loss tonight, still hold a 9-game lead in the division. So I would say Mariners fans don't have a whole lot to be worried about right now. It would take something pretty ugly, kind of like what the Rangers have done in the first half of this year, to be worried about that division. But in terms of the wild card, a playoff spot, both the Astros and the Rangers 7 games out of a spot. Look, when you're talking about 90 games left in the year, 7 games out, that is doable. Look, 9 games is doable too for the division. But with the wild card spot, obviously, instead of just playing against one team, you're playing against multiple. So better chances there, no doubt. But that is the update. We've got also the Angels 13.5 out and the A's 16.5 out. Kind of crazy. Only 4.5 games separate the Astros and Rangers and the Angels. Not something that I would have predicted at almost the halfway point in the season, but here we are. Well, all right, y'all. We don't have a whole lot here, whole lot else. Tomorrow's an off day. Maybe put out a reel based on something from this show, a little filler content, you know what I mean? But in all likelihood, we'll be back at you on Friday with the video updating you on our system. Of course, we're betting 1 cent this year on Texas Rangers money line every game for every follower that we have across all socials. It's been a little rocky the past 5 games, but you know what? This win tonight gets us a little bit back on track. So Friday, we'll put out a video going through today's game, some of the highlights, previewing Friday night's matchup, pitching matchup, probably Evo going Friday night. And then after that, we will probably go live Friday night after the game. I can only assume. I think it's a pretty typical Texas time start, like 5 p.m. So right after the game, we'll try and go live on that Friday night for you. So if we don't see you on Friday night, hope to catch you sometime this weekend. That would be great. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. We'll have that off day tomorrow and then back at you for a full weekend versus the Royals. Should be a great series. Hopefully it's one that the Rangers get back on track with. Please. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor. If you're not subbed or if you have not followed the channel or the account, please do so. I'd greatly appreciate it so you can keep up with all of our latest and greatest content. Do me a favor. You know somebody that loves baseball or loves Rangers baseball, share this video with them, share one of my reels with them, or just tell them about the channel. Let's grow this community of good people talking baseball, talking Rangers baseball. I sure would love that. And then news around the league. Before we go, I'm going to just kind of try and filter out some things here. Tomorrow, the game at Rickwood Field, that should be a lot of fun. That is the Giants and the Cardinals. Rickwood Field, Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues played there for nearly 4 decades. 180 future Hall of Famers showcase their talent there. That'll be pretty fun. I'm going to be tuning into that one tomorrow night, the Rickwood Field game. Should be an awesome experience, especially for the people that are going to actually be at the game. So cool for them. And looks like Garrett Cole returned tonight, Cade 5, but the O's beat the Yankees. I think that's about it, y'all. Of course, Willie Mays, Say Hey Kid, passed away, one of the all-time legends in Major League Baseball. I enjoyed hearing from Bruce Bochy, who spent a lot of time with Willie Mays. And, obviously, rest in peace. Prayers, thoughts to his family. One of the legends of the game. There's not too many living legends left, y'all. We got to cherish those guys while they're still around, no doubt. So I think that's going to do it for us. I think that's about all the headlines around the sport at this moment. Thanks for tuning in. And as I always say to end every show, God bless. Go Rangers. Have a great rest of your Wednesday night. We'll see y'all later on in the week. Most likely Friday, post-game, hopefully after a Rangers